Hey, what's going on, everybody? Hope we're doing great today. Happy Saturday. Huge college football slate today, guys. A lot of good matchups. So be sure to like and subscribe. Check out all my betting links in the description below to get in on the action. Go ahead, turn on those notification bells. Yeah, we'll hop in it here. A lot of good matchups. Going to be covering the top 25. And yeah, we'll hop in it. Starting with Florida State versus Clemson. Florida State opening up as a 1.5 point road favorite with the over-under at 55.5. Florida State coming into this matchup 3-0. Clemson 2-1. Head-to-head, Clemson is 7-3 head-to-head. 7-3 covering the spread. FSU, they're 0-7 against Clemson. They have not been able to beat Clemson. 1-9 on the road against Clemson here. Very tough for Clemson. I'm sorry, for Florida State. But I will say this is a much different Florida State team. Not that Florida State hasn't been, they've been pretty good every year, but I think this is by far their most talented group they've had in years. Coming off a tough Boston College win, opening up, winning at LSU, beating Southern Miss. They have so much talent on this team. The offense is great. Defense is very good, even though they did struggle last week against Boston College. But nonetheless, they're playing solid. Clemson coming off an FAU win. Finally getting, things going here after that bad loss to Duke against a good Duke team. Man, I just really think this has got to be Florida State's game. All the numbers are going to tell you to bet against FSU, but man, they have the great quarterback play, great group of receivers, running backs. Defense is solid. Clemson, we saw up against a tough opponent like Duke, the offense really struggled. And up against a good defense, I don't know. I'm just not sold on Clemson and that offense. I think Florida State gets the road win here, and I'm going to take Florida State -1.5 and money line on the road. Next matchup, we got Oklahoma versus Cincinnati. Oklahoma opening up as a 14-point road favorite with the over-under at 56.5. Oklahoma coming into this matchup 3-0. Cincinnati 2-1. Head-to-head, Oklahoma is 2-0 in those matchups. Oklahoma on a 3-0 to start the season, coming off a 66-17 win against Tulsa. Cincinnati coming off a Miami, Ohio loss. Oklahoma 5-0 against the AAC conference. 5-1 covering in their last 6. Yeah, I really think Oklahoma is just going to be too much for Cincinnati. They should be able to score all over the Cincinnati team. Cincinnati couldn't stop Miami, Ohio, really. And yeah, I'm going to take Oklahoma by 0.5 point. I'm going to take a -13.5 and money line on the road. Next matchup, we got Rutgers versus Michigan. Michigan opening up as a 24-point home favorite with the over-under at 43.5. Both teams coming into this matchup 3-0. Head-to-head, Michigan is 8-1. 5-4 covering the spread. So, haven't been able to cover. So I'm sure they've been big favorites against Rutgers the entire time they've ever played. Rutgers coming off a big Virginia Tech win. Michigan coming off a Bowling Green win. Been a pretty consistent for Michigan. They've put up about 35 to 30 points in all 3 games so far. Nothing insane, but the big thing here is they've only given up 1 touchdown, and they've held their opponents to 7 or less through 3 weeks, which is pretty insane. You might say the scoring hasn't been as what you'd want it to see, only putting up 30, but these games are over at halftime for Michigan, and they don't really care about stats. They're not really trying. You could tell. They're just going out, grinding it out, running the clock, getting a win, and playing elite defense. And that's what Michigan's doing here. But this is a very good Rutgers team this year. They are 0-8 against Michigan, but 4-2 covering against Michigan. I think this is definitely going to be a tougher matchup for Michigan. Going to be a tough test for Rutgers as well. But 24 points. Even though Michigan hasn't given up more than 7, I think we're getting right around Michigan to put up around 30 again. But I think Rutgers gets some points on the board. I think they might be the first team to put up over 7 points. And yeah, even if honestly, if Rutgers can just get 10 points, I think they can cover. And I think it could be a score of like 31-10 or something and get the cover. But I think it'll be a lot closer than that. We'll see, but I'll take a shot with Rutgers plus 24 on the road. Next matchup, biggest matchup of the day, we got Colorado versus Oregon. Oregon opening up as a 21-point home favorite with the over-under at 70. Both teams coming into this matchup 3-0. Head-to-head, Oregon's 9-1, 8-2 covering the spread. Colorado coming off a big Colorado State win in double overtime. What a crazy season it's been for Colorado already. Super fun to watch. Oregon coming off a 55-10 win against Hawaii. And of course, if you look at all the numbers, it's going to be very bad for Colorado. They're 1-9 against Oregon, 2-8 covering against Oregon here. Oregon 19-1 at home. But let's be real, Colorado's been a very bad football team, football program until Deion came this year. So I'd say that all of these Colorado stats just don't even matter. They really don't matter because none of it happened while Coach Prime was here. So this is a whole new, all the stats are new. They're 3-0. Forget what you saw last year from Colorado and the last decade, really. This is a very good Colorado team. They are missing Travis Hunter, but they were missing Travis Hunter the whole game last game for the most part, and they were able to fight a win out. And 21 points, just, we saw they were a 21-point underdog against TCU, and they won outright. Oregon's definitely a much talented team. Their toughest opponent they're going to face, and Oregon's very good, but by all means, they're not Georgia or Bama. Oregon is definitely a beatable team, and Colorado's going to be able to put up points. Oregon's going to be able to put up a lot of points as well. 21 points, I mean, crazy. I'm taking the 21.5 point, taking Colorado plus 21.5 on the road. I'm just riding the Colorado bandwagon here, and I'm really, until they fail me and start letting me down, I'll, not going to take them, but until I see that happen, I mean, I got to take the free 3 touchdowns with Colorado on the road. Next matchup, we got Duke and Uconn. Duke opening up as a 22-point road favorite with the over-under at 45. Duke coming into this matchup 3-0. Uconn 0-3. Head-to-head, Uconn is 2-0 in their 2 meetings. Duke coming off a Northwestern win. Uconn, 0-3 to start the year, coming off an FIU loss. They've only put up 17's the highest. They put up 17, 14, and 14. So not a very good scoring bunch against a Duke team that's the lowest they put up is 28, and they're putting up around 30 to 40 a game. So I just don't see how UConn's going to really be able to keep up. And I'm going to take Duke minus 22 on the road here. Next matchup, we got Miami versus Temple. Miami opening up as a 23.5-point road favorite with the over-under at 46. Miami coming into this matchup 3-0. Temple 2-1. Head-to-head, Miami is 10-0. 6-4 covering the spread. Miami coming off a Bethune-Cookman win. Easy win for them last week. Temple coming off a 41-9 win against Norfolk. Yeah, Miami 10-0 against Temple right now. They've been very dominant whenever they play Temple. 5-0 on the road against Temple. Going to be tough for Temple. This is a very good Miami team here on offense and defense, and they're gonna put up a lot of points on this Temple team, and I'm gonna take Miami minus 23.5 on the road. Next matchup, got a big matchup. We got Ole Miss versus Alabama. Bama opening up as a 7-point home favorite with the over-under at 56. Ole Miss coming into this matchup 3-0. Bama 2-1. Bama head-to-head, they're 8-2 against Ole Miss. Ole Miss coming off a big Georgia Tech win. They've looked very good so far to start the season. Bama coming off a USF win 17-3. That was just a disappointing game. They were trying out different quarterbacks. It really didn't work. If it wasn't for their defense, I mean, Bama was losing that game to USF. Luckily, holding them to 3 points here. Ole Miss 0-7 against Bama, 1-13 on the road against Bama here. Yeah, you know, it's kind of how it is every year. You know, Ole Miss is usually pretty good up until they play Bama. Bama beats them, and then Ole Miss kind of falls apart. I mean, we see it happen like every year almost, especially for a lot of teams. Once they play Bama after the, you know, got a couple wins in a row, when they start to lose it, it does seem like a vulnerable time to take Ole Miss here with Bama quarterback situation murky. I do believe they're going back to Jalen Milroe at quarterback. You know, look, he played Texas, didn't look amazing in the Texas game, but he was able to put up points, you know, and Texas might be the best team in college football. We don't know yet. I mean, they're pretty great, and he made some mistakes, but I'll tell you what, the quarterbacks that played last week they just could not move the ball, and Milroe could at least move the ball and score. So I think a lot of people are going to be on Ole Miss today, but I just think if Bama gets it right, do what they do. They have excellent coaching. I think they're going to get it done at home. Give me Bama -6.5 and money line in this one. Next matchup, we got UCLA versus Utah. Utah opening up as a 3.5 point home favorite with the over-under at 52. Both teams coming into this matchup 3-0. Got a pretty big matchup here. Utah 6-4 head-to-head, 7-3 covering the spread. UCLA hasn't really played anybody, coming off a North Central win. Utah coming off a Weber State win. Utah's had some tough games, you know, was able to beat Florida in a close one. Or no, I wouldn't say a close one. Beat them pretty good. Beat Baylor in a close one. Looks like Utah getting Cam Rising, which is very good. Will be making his debut for the season. But Utah, I mean, both teams playing well. UCLA playing well. They are just 1-5 covering against Utah. 1-5 straight up against Utah here. This is going to be a tough one here. You're getting two good offenses, two pretty good defenses here, and battle of the unbeatens. I think we're going to have a shootout. We've really struggled to, you know, since Rising's been out, Utah struggling scoring. Defense has been very good. They've only given up 13 points is the highest they've given up so far. But without Rising, the offense has been very shaky. And UCLA, they score a lot here. So it's going to be interesting to see how they play here up against a very good Utah defense. And yeah, looking at last season, you're looking at a UCLA win against Utah, 42-32. So I like UCLA here. +3.5 should be a fun one. Give me UCLA +3.5 on the road. Next matchup, we got UTSA versus Tennessee. Tennessee opening up as a 24.5 point home favorite with the over-under at 59.5. UTSA coming into this matchup 1-2. Tennessee 2-1. These teams have not played each other before. UTSA coming off an Army loss. They did lose. Their quarterback is questionable, Frank Harris. Be sure to check his status, because if he's out, I definitely don't like UTSA in this matchup. Tennessee coming off a very bad Florida loss here. Just really couldn't get it done. UTSA 4-1 on the road. You know, Tennessee 10-0 at home. Looking to bounce back after that bad loss against Florida here. But as long as Frank Harris plays for UTSA at quarterback here, they're going to be a capable offense. They're going to be able to put up points against Tennessee, who, I don't know. Tennessee just seems kind of fraudulent to me. And Tennessee missing one of their linemen who's out for suspension for the first half. Yeah, as long as the quarterback plays for UTSA, I think this is a lot of points for an offense that could definitely put up some points. And I'll take UTSA +24.5 on the road. Next matchup, we got Arkansas versus LSU. LSU opening up as a 17.5 point home favorite with the over-under at 54.5. Both teams coming into this matchup 2-1. Head-to-head, LSU is 7-3. Rocket Sanders questionable for Arkansas. We'll see if he plays. Hasn't played in a few games. Arkansas coming off a tough BYU loss. LSU coming off a big Mississippi State win. Shown they've been able to dominate the SEC so far, just in their first game. Arkansas 1-6 against LSU, 3-11 on the road against LSU. They've really struggled against LSU, but Arkansas LSU always a pretty just tough matchup. Always a good matchup to watch. I think this is a lot of points. KJ Jefferson has been very good. He's been good for Arkansas, pretty much carrying that team on their back. And 17.5 points here. I think we get a close one. I'm going to take a shot with Arkansas plus 17.5 on the road. Next matchup, we got Charlotte versus Florida. Florida opening up as a 28-point home favorite with the over-under at 49. Charlotte coming into this matchup 1-2. Florida 2-1. These teams have not played each other before. Charlotte on a 2-game losing streak here. Florida coming off a big Tennessee win. That was a nice win at home for them to get them back on track. They are 6-1 at home. And should be a dominating game for Florida at home in this one. And I'll take Florida minus 28 at home. Next matchup, we got Oregon State versus Washington State. Oregon State opening up as a 3-point road favorite with the over-under at 57.5. Both teams coming into this matchup 3-0. So we're getting a battle of the unbeatens. Washington State 8-2 head-to-head, 6-4 covering the spread. Oregon State coming off a San Diego State win. Washington State coming off a UNCO win. And going to be a real battle here. Oregon State 1-8 against Washington State. They have not been able to beat Washington State. Both teams have very talented and elite type quarterbacks here. Have really good offenses and defenses. I really like Washington State at home here. Going to be a battle, especially on offense here. And given that Oregon State hasn't been able to beat Washington State, 5.5 a point, I'll take Washington State plus 3.5 at home. Next matchup, we got Iowa versus Penn State. Penn State opening up as a 14-point home favorite with the over-under at 38.5. Both teams coming into this matchup 3-0. Head-to-head, Penn State is 6-4. Iowa coming off a 41-10 win against Western Michigan, finally having a good game scoring. Penn State coming off a 30-13 win against Illinois. Iowa missing some people, tight end and running back for this game. Iowa, they are 6-1 covering on the road. Going to be an absolute battle here. Going to be a low-scoring defensive battle. I do like Penn State at home. The 14 points, though, man, I really think Iowa can cover here. You're going to get a battle of defenses. Teams fighting for field position and field goals, and touchdowns will be very scarce. I would take a shot with Iowa plus 14, but throw Penn State in your moneyline parlays and throw them in teasers. I am thinking Penn State will win at home, but I think we're going to get a tough defensive battle, and I think Iowa can cover that 14 on the road. Next matchup, we got Ohio State versus Notre Dame. Ohio State opening up as a 3-point road favorite with the over-under at 55.5. Ohio State coming into this matchup 3-0. Notre Dame 4-0. Head-to-head, Ohio State is 5-0. 4-1 covering the spread. Ohio State coming off a Western Kentucky win 63-10. Notre Dame coming off a CMU win 41-17. They've been very good against Notre Dame here. They're 18-1 on the road, a very good road team, but this is a much different test. This is the best Notre Dame team that Ohio State's probably ever faced. Elite offensive play. The defense is great here. Going to be a big test for both teams, especially for Ohio State. Haven't really played anybody good yet. Notre Dame hasn't played anyone good either, but going to be a battle both ways here. Notre Dame at home. I think Notre Dame has the better quarterback here in Hartman, and well, by the half a point. Going to be a battle, but I'm taking Notre Dame plus 3.5 at home. Next matchup, we got Texas versus Baylor. Texas opening up as a 17-point road favorite with the over-under at 48.5. Texas coming into this matchup 3-0. Baylor 1-2. Head-to-head, Texas is 6-4 in those head-to-head meetings. Texas coming off a Wyoming win. Baylor coming off an LIU win. Texas is 6-2 against Baylor. I just don't think Baylor's going to be able to keep up here. Texas didn't have an amazing scoring output last week here, but I think they get it going today offensively and defensively. And I'm going to take Texas -17 money line on the road. Next matchup, we got UAB versus Georgia. Georgia opening up as a 40.5 point home favorite with the over-under at 55.5. UAB coming into this matchup 1-2. Georgia 3-0. Head-to-head, Georgia is 3-0. 2-1 covering the spread. UAB coming off back-to-back losses. Georgia coming off a tough 10-point win against South Carolina. Yeah, Georgia, they've been able to cover the spread. I mean, they're 1-2 covering the spread so far this season. And big favorites here. Giving up 40.5. Haven't covered a big 40-point spread like that this season. Yeah, I'm not in love with it, but I think I would take a shot with UAB plus 40.5 on the road. Next matchup, we got North Carolina versus Pittsburgh. North Carolina opening up as a 7.5 point road favorite with the over-under at 49.5. North Carolina coming into this matchup 3-0. Pittsburgh 1-2. Head-to-head, UNC is 7-3. 6-4 covering the spread. UNC coming off a big Minnesota win. Pittsburgh coming off a disappointing West Virginia loss 17-6. Pitt lost to UNC last year 42-24. UNC 6-0 on the road, 7-2 against Pittsburgh. Yeah, I love North Carolina. You're kind of getting North Carolina at a value with how low the spread is. I think they should at least be like 10, 14-point favorites. I'm going to buy a half a point, though. I'm sorry, a full point. Give me North Carolina -6.5 and money line on the road. Next matchup, we got California versus Washington. Washington opening up as a 20-point home favorite with the over-under at 57.5. Cal coming into this matchup 2-1. Washington 3-0. Head-to-head, Washington is 7-3. Cal coming off an Idaho win. Washington coming off a big Michigan State win. Yeah, I love Washington. The offense is great. Penix Jr., the passing offense is just unreal what they're doing on offense. They're 9-0 at home. They're going to put up a lot of points here, and I'll take Washington -20 at home. In the last matchup, we got USC versus Arizona State. USC opening up as a 34.5 point road favorite with the over-under at 62.5. USC coming into this matchup 3-0. Arizona State 1-2. Head-to-head, USC is 6-4. Yeah, Arizona State going to be missing their quarterback, so they have a brand new starter, Drew Pine, at quarterback, which never good if you're making a start up against a very elite team. USC coming off a big 56-10 win against Stanford. This USC team, I mean, the lowest they've scored this season is 56 points here. So Arizona State getting shut out last week, 29-0 against Fresno. Oh man, it's going to be ugly for Arizona State here. And yeah, give me USC -34.5 and money line on the road. That's going to be it for the video. Good luck with your picks and parlays on Saturday. Hope you guys all cash out, and I'll see you guys Sunday. Have a good one.